Welcome to the third of a series of webinars presenting Sophia's master's programs. The first one focused on a general presentation of Sophia University Institute, while the second presented the master's programs in a culture of unity. Today, we are going to focus on the master's programs on economics and management. My name is Davide Pignata. I'm a first-year student of economics and management here at Sophia. This evening, we are pleased to welcome Benedetto Gui, professor of economics here at Sophia and coordinator of the master's program. Marta Panceva, assistant professor at the Department of Social, Political and Economic Science. Annette Ballawing, who is a senior research associate in the Rotterdam School of Management at the Erasmus University and invited professor of international economics at Sophia. And last but not least, Giulia Pongiglione, former student of economics and management at Sophia. Thanks for being here with us. I would like to start with a presentation of the course, asking Professor Gui if he could introduce us to the master programs. First of all, the title, Why Management for a Civil and Sustainable Economy?
Good afternoon, everybody. So this word is management. The first word is obvious. The word is made of more and more complex organizations, not only enterprises, conglomerates, holding companies, but also non-governmental organizations, cooperatives, and of course also public agency at municipal level, regional, national, supranational. So there is a greater and greater need of skills for managing these organizations. Then I would jump to the last word, economy, just to remember that those who work in particular organization have the need to understand the whole picture, the interrelations between the various elements, even foreign trade, exchange rates, and all this. And we also focus on this great picture. And then the two adjectives. Civil, in a sense, connects business to civil society and stresses that business economic activity is not a separate dimension, but is a component of personal life or social life. And sustainable, very clear in these times, is there to remember that the econosphere, we could say, is inside the biosphere. So we must care for the environment, for the earth. We must respect it, and we must create the best opportunity for human development within the limitations of nature.
Thank you, Professor Gui. Now a question to Professor Panceva. To what kind of students is the master's program aimed at? And what does it propose to teach in practice?
Thank you, Davide, and hello, everyone. Well, I would start saying that Sophia for sure is a very colorful university, as we do not have only Italian students as it might seem today, but actually we do have students coming from very different parts of the world, from different both academic, personal, social, cultural backgrounds. However, if I have to respond to your question, what I would say and I would stress is that what all of our students have in common, and in fact, this is the type of students that we actually do refer to, that we target in a sense, is that they're all people that have an aspiration to play an active role in the economic context. And not only in the economic context, but also in society more in general. And also do share the strong motivation, we could say, to contribute concretely to change it for the better. Change it through their work, through their studies and research, as well as through their everyday choices and the way they communicate them to others. So on one hand, I would say that this desire of change, from what I know about our students that are coming here year after year, this is a desire for change that is naturally triggered due to the concrete reality each of them lives into. Because every reality, as we know, do present specific challenges and contradictions. At the same time, it is important to stress, I would say, that the students of Sophia and the vision that Sophia requires, but also further fosters in its students, is a wider view of reality. In fact, this is a view which recognizes the inherent complexity and the intricate relationships between different phenomena. As Professor Gui was stressing before, in fact, it is important to have an idea of the whole picture we move into in order also to understand how do we act in the particular segment of reality that we find ourselves into. But then when I say complexity, I should also say that we can not only face it through a broader view. We do need concrete, very practical competencies and skills in order to act. And also to face these challenges that the economy today presents. So this is why our master's program also strives to develop, on one hand, the practical competencies that are needed for managing economic organizations, as Professor Gui was saying, organizations such as business companies, such as social enterprises or government agencies as well. But at the same time, it is done in embedding these competencies in a wider view, in this civil and sustainable vision that we recalled earlier. So to say, how do we do this? I would say that we actually try to move our academic offer on a double track, in a sense, putting together and trying to respond to both these needs. So we set on one hand the need for concrete competencies. That is why our students do attend specialized courses in management, in accounting, in managerial decision-making, human resources, and so forth. They also are introduced to, let's say, forward-looking topics such as innovation, such as blockchain, for instance. But also, as we said, on the other hand, trying to insert these competencies and skills in a wider vision, we also try to guarantee that our students encounter also other disciplines rather than economics. So they do attend courses also in politics, in ethics, as well as encounter disciplines like theology and even philosophy. So all this is done in a 2 years program, which comprises a total of 120 European credits. It is taught in English. We also do have the possibility to for shorter and also personalized study plans, and also have double degree agreements with other universities, so that we try to enrich and to give more opportunities to our students also to grasp and to further enrich their knowledge base.
If I can add something, yes, we consider very important this network of connections with other universities and also with business organizations. And this also gives, of course, concreteness to what we teach. And from this connection, we also obtain opportunities for internships for our students, which we also consider an important part of what a student can learn at Sophia.
Thank you so much, Professor Panceva and Professor Gui, for the precise answer. And now I would ask you to Professor Gui, the last question. During your course of social, civil, and communion enterprises, with my colleagues, we have had the opportunity to know more and reflect together on the particular role of such enterprises in the current economic system. Could you please tell us something more about it?
Yes. Yes. We have a straight connection with not only enterprises in general, but with this one subset of enterprises that have been mentioned, so-called civil enterprises, communion enterprises, enterprises connected with the economy of communion project. So these are, the technical word is purpose-driven organizations. And we devote a special attention to them, of course, besides conventional enterprises, for very reason. First of all, because such enterprises exist and their number is growing, and especially we see that they are, in a sense, aligned with the orientations of many, especially young entrepreneurs, startuppers. And secondly, because the global challenges that we have in front of us, global warming, environmental crisis, the extreme inequality, are all of a public nature, are collective problems. And this cannot be overcome by public organization alone. So there is a need that even private organizations deliberately cooperate in this effort, not only instrumentally in the sense that this is a way for earning more profit. And this is exactly what these companies, these enterprises do. And third, there are dimensions of human fulfillment, human flourishing, that conventional businesses have not considered deeply enough. Think of the relational nature of humans, which is so great a part of well-being, as the recent studies suggest, and also the need of working with an intrinsic motivation, because one shares the ends of this organization, the goals that they achieve. And for this reason too, this company are especially important.
Thank you, Benedetto, Professor Gui, for this overview of the world of purpose-driven organizations. And now, moving to Professor Balaoing, I would like to ask something more about the specificity of Sophia in the international context. You are a senior research associate at the Rotterdam School of Management at Erasmus University, and you have collaborated with several other universities. So did you find something specific to Sophia University in its approach to economics and management with respect to the other universities?
Thank you, David, for that question. I also taught economics in Erasmus University for 10 years. No? So, and I also am teaching international economics in the University of the Philippines right now. And I do also guest lectures in Rotterdam School of Management. The last one is on global value chains. So what I found myself doing in my teaching now is that I'm actually looking back at my teaching in Sophia as a benchmark, because in Sophia, I think more than the content of the course itself, it's really the experience, the relationship that is built between the students and the professor, really as a community of learner. No, so then, and that relationship is actually the one that brings that extra, that X factor of Sophia, because you learn in the context of that relationship. And because learning is very dynamic. No? So, and the other thing, I think that the one thing that is very specific in Sophia is that when you talk about international economics, when you talk about all these business concepts, I think in Sophia you can, in a way, dare to go beyond the box, because in a typical economics faculty, of management faculty, you tend to stay in that particular discipline, and then stepping out, especially when it's culture, when it's social, and certainly when it's maybe something even philosophical, no, it's it's hardly done. And yet, if you look at the problems of our economic systems at the moment, it's really at the level of worldview, and that worldview is really behind the weakness of our system. A worldview that is very inward looking, or national thinking, or very interest driven. Instead, the worldview that you need to address the challenges of the world today is a worldview that is open to the world, that is centered on the person, and not even on institutions and systems. Because typically when you teach these concepts, this theory, the focus is on the institution. So talking about countries as if it's an independent entity or firm, but you don't really talk about people, about relationship. That's Everything is abstracted in the level of institution, and yet in Sophia you can dare to bring it down to the level of persons and relationships of within a community. And I think that's what we try to do also in that course that I'm teaching on international economics, trade, sustainable development, global value chains, and all that. Is that while we talk about very macro concepts like international relationship, international systems, we also bring it down to the level of actual experiences and cases on the ground, so that we don't fall victim to the what we call paralysis through analysis, that you end up feeling very pessimistic about the state of the world, very hopeless about whether there's a way forward in the future. But if you look at experiences also with the economy of communion enterprises, if you look at, and also many other cases that we try to bring into the class, then you get a sort of a glimpse of what possibly could be a trajectory towards a united world, towards a better world, no? So I think that's something that you will find only in Sophia. You can have a course in international economics, and because universities follow the same textbook, then it's going to be taught more or less in the same way across many contexts and many countries. But then in Sophia, it's going to be taught in a really different way, because of this combination of a practice, okay, the theory, and also arriving to the point of challenging or reflecting on what kind of worldview do you need to be able to address the challenges of our world today.
Thank you so much, Professor Balawing. And now to Giulia Pongiglione, former student of economics and management at Sophia. I would like to ask you which aspects of your study experience at Sophia have been important for your personal and professional life and development during and after your study experience here at Sophia.
Thank you, Davide. It's really nice to be virtually back at Sophia again. I would say that it was a life-changing experience for me, and I will explain why. I would say that in my case, I realized first the changes in my personal life. And maybe it seems strange because we are speaking about university, but in one of the characteristics of Sophia is that we don't split our studies from the other aspects of our life, but we try to have the same regard of all the parts of our life. So like the chance of living together with people from all around the world, as Marta said, with different backgrounds is not just I've been in an Erasmus experience, the European exchange. It's a different thing when this sharing of the daily life is part of the experience, and it's really a learning experience itself. So it's not just the lessons, but it's really like eating together, studying together. Why not? So like coming from different backgrounds, languages, and also having different levels of study. Sometimes we were studying with a professor already, and it was very funny because maybe someone else was completely new to the topic. So it's really something unique and something that it's useful for our world and our life, because nowadays we are more and more diverse. So it's really something that you can enjoy after the Sophia studies. Then I would say that the changes in my professional life were maybe less evident for me, less clear, and it's something that I realized after. And especially, like I was thinking about that when I received this invitation, and I was like, I think that this thing comes from Sophia. So, and it's also strange because now I've been working in the non-formal education. So what are the links between management and education? But actually, what I learned in the lessons at Sophia, it's really useful when you have to deal with people. So like it's not just managing some educational projects, but when you have a group of young people in front of you and that are completely different from one another, but speak different languages, because it was the case sometimes. I think that what I lived and what I learned in Sophia was very, very important. And also sometimes we had to deal with different kind of poverty, and it was very helpful to have the background of what I studied in Sophia. So I would say that.
Now, while you speak, come to my mind your colleagues, Constantine, who now is at FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome, and Patricio, who was the professor, the young professor from Tucumán University in Argentina, and all the others.
Thank you, Julia. And now one last question I want to ask each of our guests. What contribution can the master's degree program in economics and management and the study experience in Sophia offer to its students in the contemporary global context? Let's start with Julia, then followed by Professor Baloing, Professor Pancheva, and Professor Gui. So Julia, up to you.
Thank you. I would say what Professor Pancheva said before about complexity, because our world is really complex. So having the instrument to deal with this complexity is very important. And the interdisciplinary approach of Sophia helps a lot in this sense. And it's really enriching. And it helps also because you understand that alone you can't solve all the problems, so you need other people, and having a little bit of knowledge of what they do helps in working together. And I would also say dialogue, because we are very diverse, as I said, and learning to deal with this diversity and to try not to judge other people, but understanding them, understanding why they do what they do, it's really useful, and it's something that we really need nowadays, I would say.
Yeah, I think Julia ticked all the boxes already. I'm now thinking what I'm going to add. So I think, okay, just to add one additional thing is that I think with Sophia, the advantage of being Sophia is that there's the how do you call it, the effort to go beyond the problems that you see day to day, and also to address what will be the deeper roots of the problems of the day. Because usually when you talk about especially economic problems, you can be as technocratic about it, in terms of policies, in terms of different approaches. But beyond a more technocratic or analytical explanation to the problem is really a problem of mindset, and that's maybe something that is very unique to Sophia, is that because the whole culture, it's a whole culture that is addressed, building a new culture, a culture of dialogue, culture of unity. And that's actually the basis of fundamental and sustainable change that we need, because you cannot create something new with the old mindset. You have to really create a fundamental shift of paradigms if you want to have a fundamental shift of the systems that we face today.
So now I need to understand what to add to what you said already. Well, maybe to this mindset, I would just add an adjective, which is humane, like this contribution in terms of a more humane, also more relational view of economy, and also the economic science, so which I really appreciate, and really liked what Annette said about this positive attitude, which I think that we really do need a lot. And think about also how economy can actually contribute in a positive sense, not simply in terms of the economic growth or percentage rise in GDP, for instance, but also thinking about the role that it can play in terms of human flourishing, because people do and can flourish also within organizations, and this is what we also try to teach. And also as a mean to aspire to a good for the society as a whole. So keeping in mind that economy has a really important and active role to play also to guarantee this common good. So this, I would say, as a vision that is very rooted here in Sophia and in our courses.
Yeah. Yes, like other universities, we form young professionals. We think that they come out with their hearts open towards the unsolved problems of today's economy, and in a sense, ready and with a sense of responsibility in being part of the solution. And I would add the connection between the others. Of course, a connection with the other members of the community of Sophia, which is made not only of students, but also of teachers, of the staff, of former students, but also with the concrete experiences that many steps forward can be done really together, because the world now needs certainly skilled and well manned individuals, but also people who can work together, work in team for moving forward.
Okay, thank you so much. for your precious contributions. So we have finished our time. Next week, we will present the master's program in political sciences. And so we hope to see you all at Sophia University. Good evening and good weekend to all of you.